More than 1 year ago, I released my first big project of the channel where I ranked all 13 of the Mortal Kombat and Injustice guest characters. Since the video's release, I've done rankings for the entire cast of the first Mortal Kombat game. While producing those videos, several people in the community have requested to see all of the guest characters' finishers ranked. So today, we'll be taking a look at all the third-party characters' finishers from the worst to the best. Happy winter holidays, everyone! My name is Nick, and welcome to, or welcome back to the channel. If you're new, consider clicking the subscribe button to join the Whack Pack today, and to stay tuned for more Mortal content and ranking videos like these. Throughout my series of character rankings, many have requested for me to cover the guest characters who entered the Mortal Kombat tournament. After several requests, I decided to follow up and do an episode on this topic. These finishers will be ranked based on what the character pulls from their media and how well it succeeds at what it's doing, what the finisher pays tribute to, and if it's just a good finisher overall. I'll try to provide context for what the finishers are referencing too. Here are the rules for the guest characters. Rule number 1, brutalities, stage fatalities, and mortalities will not be included on this list. Rule number 2, no X-rays or fatal blows will be included. Rule number 3, no Injustice guests will be included in this list. Maybe I'll do an all characters guest supers ranked video sometime soon, just so they have their time to shine. And rule number 4, the stage fatalities from the Chamber of Flame will not be included. Though it is a guest character's stage, those stage finishers will be included in its own list sometime down the line. If you want to see something like that, be sure to subscribe. With those rules and factors established, put on your hockey mask, sharpen your finger knives, and equip your gun.
You are under arrest, dirtbag.
As we rank all 22 of the guest character finishers across the recent Mortal Kombat rebooted trilogy. But before we get into the video, here's a quick word from our sponsor, Grand Finals Gaming. Grand Finals Gaming hosts gaming events and tournaments in the state of Michigan with a goal to facilitate the growth of competitive players as well as encourage newcomers to join the fighting game scene. You can check out some high-level fighting game gameplay with their YouTube and Twitch channels. While you're there, be sure to give them a follow and subscribe. They also have an amazing website chock full of content including info on their team members like Footwork, D-Town's King, Uncle Caps, as well as content creators like me. But my personal favorite part of their website is the shop. They have an amazing variety of merch, some of which is themed after many fighting games such as Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, Killer Instinct, and more. There is something for everyone on their site, so make sure to visit grandfinalsgaming.com and check out the other links in the description down below. Again, a big thank you to Grand Finals Gaming for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get to those rankings. Number 22. It was extremely hard to rank all of these finishers, as all of them are pretty good. None of these are bad, just either range from okay to amazing. Sadly, the one at the bottom of the list is the Predator. Why? Well, let's just jump right in. Named after what your Tinder date did to you, we've got Ghost in Us from Mortal Kombat X. I feel this one is the biggest missed opportunity. It would have been awesome seeing him skin the opponent or do something with his staff. Instead, we got a pretty underwhelming finisher. Besides the finisher being named after a line said by Mac, there's no other references that made this finisher. In the end, this one came off as the weakest of the guest character finishers. No cap. Number 21. Moving ahead to our next guest character with Kratos in Mortal Kombat 2011. Kratos was the first guest character to enter Mortal Kombat and is the only console-exclusive guest to make his way into the series. With God of War being known for taking down titans and dethroning other gods, what finisher did he bring to the table?
Kratos wins.
He brought one that was pretty stone cold. Outside of Sub-Zero's deep freeze, it's nice to see someone frozen in a unique way. Using Medusa for this one was a good call. However, I think the slide and the lack of blood do make this feel very tame in comparison to the other fatalities. It is a very toned down finisher for the Mortal Kombat reboot. It's not bad, it's extremely fitting, but I feel Kratos could do some more damage if he was given a different set of gear or something like that. Number 20. Headed into number 20 with the Xenomorph or Alien from Mortal Kombat X. In the lore for the Alien, it previously took Baraka as a host and made it a hybrid between a Xenomorph and a Tarkatan. With a hybrid like this, what finisher were they able to pull off? We get ourselves Deadly Hybrid. This finisher showcases a fusion of two iconic kills, one from the Mortal Kombat franchise and one from the Alien franchise. Although it mixes the beats of the Baraka stab finisher and the mouth tongue thing, it feels a bit slower in pace. I feel this finisher would have worked better if it were in a horror game, but that's just me. It's still a good finisher that pays tribute to two characters. Number 19. Moving into our next entry with the Terminator in Mortal Kombat 11. For one of the standout guests in Mortal Kombat 11, due to having the likeness of Arnie the Governator and references to several of his movies, his finisher left a little to be desired. Though it is pretty simple, it doesn't feel too much like the Terminator for me. Sure, it is a reference from Terminator 2, but it feels weird being placed in Mortal Kombat. Some of it may have to do with the opponent's clickbait-used face, but I will give it credit for having the motorcycle involved in a finisher to throw the opponent airborne. Not a bad finisher though. Number 18. Moving into the second of Kratos' finishers by revisiting Mortal Kombat 2011. Where the first finisher was cool in concept but felt pretty toned down, this second one goes for more gore and references to God of War. Now I appreciate this one over Medusa's gaze for 3 reasons. For one, there's more blood in this one, it includes the use of the Blade of Olympus, and splits the opponent in half. Besides those factors, I think the pacing towards the end is a bit weird. Other than that, it's pretty cool, but not godlike. Number 17. We're headed into Mortal Kombat X to take a first look at the Crystal Lake Killer, Jason Voorhees. With the Friday the 13th movies having some of the most iconic kills in all of horror films, the team decided to adapt a classic kill with Jason's weapon of choice. Cutting right in is Kill for Mother. Named after Pamela Voorhees' words inside of Jason's head, this finisher is simple and referential. The nice addition of the music cues and camera angles to match the movies is what makes this one a huge standout. It's a basic finisher with some elements to make it stand out, which is why I really appreciate this one. Number 16. Headed into the second slasher from Mortal Kombat X, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. With Bubba's chainsaw on his side, you know he was going to rip and tear into his opponents. His first finisher is one that would make Phil Swift proud.
Now that's a lot of damage!
This one is a bloody good one. With Leatherface being just a guy with a chainsaw, this finisher stands out more than some of the supernatural guests we've covered. Stabbing and turning the chainsaw on is a creative and unique way to cut an opponent in half. Ending it all by the slow split of the opponent is just a great final touch. It was nice to see the team get creative with Leatherface, as this is an original finisher, not based on any kill in the movies. I guess I can end this by saying a quote by Phil Swift, "That's a lot of damage." Number 15. Time to head into Mortal Kombat 11 with Todd McFarlane's Spawn. If you know anything about Spawn, his most iconic weapons are his living cape and chains that appear from his body. With Mortal Kombat 11 getting creative with the finishers, we knew they would pull off a unique finisher just for Spawn. This finisher incorporates a good amount of Spawn's abilities, having the cape wrap around the opponent's head like a thug in a dark alleyway, then having the chains penetrate them multiple times, and ending it all with a magical explosion. It's a good finisher with good beats that, well, chain well together. It's an absolute blast. Number 14. Moving back into our Ed Gein inspired killer, Leatherface. Where the first finisher was a nice original finisher created by the team, the next finisher goes to recreate a kill from one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. So which one did they decide to go with? A recent and pretty nasty one. I guess you could say that the entity was pretty pleased with this one. If you haven't watched Texas Chainsaw 3D from 2013, this was a reference to Kenny's death from the movie, where he was hung on a meat hook and then cut in half. Sure, the hanging meat hook to wherever it's gonna grip up to is a little weird, but I can get past that. It's a really good finisher that would get fans hooked on Leatherface. Number 13. Headed into another Predator finisher inside of Mortal Kombat X. For me, the first of Predator's finishers was a big missed opportunity and the lowest ranked guest character finisher. How did the team manage to make his second finisher better? By referencing an iconic scene from the 1987 movie. Man, and you thought Dylan had it bad. This is a callback to the death of Carl Weathers' character in The Predator, where he gets his arm shot off and then stabbed. But instead of being stabbed like in the film, the team went for an additional shot to the gut and another one to the face after giving the opponent the most cold stare. A good reference finisher. As the MK series went on with other guests, the developers pulled off more iconic scenes and turned those into better finishers. So stay tuned to see where those land. Number 12. Crawling our way into Mortal Kombat 11's Combat Pack 2 guest character with John Rambo. For a character known for shooting people to death, I really wasn't sure what scenes the team would be able to pull off for a Rambo fatality. However, they managed to go overboard by referencing a scene from Rambo First Blood. Damn, this one just goes hard. If you haven't watched Rambo 2, this is a callback to where Rambo throws a guy onto an electric board and leaves him to be electrocuted to death. What makes this one stand out is the addition of the bandolier splitting the opponent in half and the knife through the skull. Those two additions do feel a lot like Rambo, but more inspired by the later films. Overall, I'm shocked to see this one make it up so high. Number 11. Like the character, we're returning for our 11th entry. Where the first was a simple machete slash, which is performed in all of the Friday the 13th movies, it only made sense to include a series favorite into Mortal Kombat. You know, somewhere Kane Hodder is smiling ear to ear right now. This is a callback to Friday the 13th, The New Blood, my favorite of the Friday the 13th movies. This fatality recreates the sleeping bag kill, where Jason pulls his victim out of a tent while they're inside of a sleeping bag and smacks them against a tree. Though Jason didn't have a sleeping bag to make it a one-for-one recreation, it was great to see this iconic kill make its way into Mortal Kombat. Number 10. Moving ahead to Mortal Kombat 11 with the Clown Prince of Crime, the Joker. As I was expecting to see a remake of the iconic Bang Bang fatality from MK vs DC, we were instead graced with a gruesome but funny fatality.
The fight is done and now's the time to bring it to a crescendo. Crank the knob and what will I get? As a memento.
Hats and heads off to you, Joker. Though this hasn't been confirmed, but many people have stated this is a reference to Quan Chi's finisher from Deadly Alliance, where he stretches the opponent and turns them into a giraffe. If so, it's hilarious to see the team poke fun at themselves at their own absurdity. It's a good finisher that's campy and a bloody good time. Number 9. Let's cut right into Rambo's second finisher from Mortal Kombat 11. Where the first one was a subtle nod to the second Rambo film, this one goes for a mix of his traps from the first film and a kill from Rambo 4. All I gotta say is thank goodness Rambo opted for bamboo spikes instead of punji sticks, or else the opponent would have had a crappier time. This finisher is a reference to the guy Rambo kills by ripping his throat out, so I gotta give him props for getting his finishing tactics from Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse. It's a unique finisher from Mortal Kombat as no one really gets their throat ripped out, except for that one time in Mortal Kombat X. However, it feels more fitting for Rambo instead of Liu Kang. This finisher is just super gory and I love it. It just took my breath away. Number 8. Headed into Mortal Kombat Aftermath territory with RoboCop. I stated in the all guest characters ranked video that he was my least favorite of the bunch. Where I said his gameplay and gear wasn't my favorite, his highlights were in his finishers. The first one pays tribute to many RoboCop moments from the first movie. Well, either way, you're going with him. This finisher highlights various main character deaths from the movie. From Bodicker's stab to the neck, to Murphy getting his hand shot off, to the board member being lit up by Ed 209. Mixing all of these into one fatality is a nice treat for fans of RoboCop and Mortal Kombat. I guess the opponent should have complied. Number 7. Taking a revisit back to Mortal Kombat 2011 with the first movie guest character, Freddy Krueger. This inclusion was meant to promote the reboot of A Nightmare on Elm Street, which starred Jackie Earle Haley in the role. Although it's based off the new film, the finishers decided to go for callbacks to the original Robert Englund films, starting with Tell 'em Freddy sent ya. What a bloody good one. This is a reference to Johnny Depp's character, Glenn, from the original Nightmare on Elm Street movie, where Glenn gets sucked into a bed and all of his blood squirts up like a volcano. A perfect finisher to adapt into Mortal Kombat, and one that I knew many people just love. Whenever I see this one performed, people just erupt in excitement. Number 6. Time to finish off the Xenomorphs finishers from Mortal Kombat X. Alien's first fatality was pretty nifty to fuse the headbutt and the classic Baraka stab. With a second fatality, the team managed to deliver a killer treat for anyone who is a fan of Aliens. As Freddie Mercury would say, she's a killer queen. If you haven't watched the 1986 film Aliens, this is a callback to the scene where the android Bishop gets stabbed by the Xenomorph Queen and then ripped in half. This finisher may be the closest to being an exact copy of the scene it's referencing. It may be a bit weird that the alien you're playing as doesn't do the killing, but it's an awesome treat overall. Number 5. Back with the next Freddy Krueger finisher. Where the first one was a good reference to the hole in the bed kill, the team got creative with the second one and adapted Freddy's origin story for a finisher. For this, we reach Welcome to My Nightmare. Of all of the slasher characters to enter Mortal Kombat, I think this one is the best. Having Freddy summon a boiler to throw his opponent in there to burn them to death is unique. The final cherry on top of this is slamming the door while cutting their arm off. It's crazy to see the developers create such a unique finisher. It's one that's super hot fire. Number 4. Let's make our way back to Mortal Kombat 11 and revisit one of my favorite comic book characters, Spawn. Where the first one uses chains, cape, and dark magic for an explosive finisher, what happens when you take those same ingredients and try something different? you get yourself Unchained. Like Spawn, this one is just cool as hell. Having your opponent skinned and then having their soul ripped out with all their organs spewing out is just magic for the eyes. It's truly a good finisher, and I'm happy to see we got to see some weird cape-based finishers for Spawn in this game. I'm happy he was able to make his appearance. Number 3. Grabbing the bronze medal is the Jester of Genocide, the Joker. His first finisher was an awesome use of the Jack-in-the-Box, while being possibly a callback to the Deadly Alliance finisher by Quan Chi. The second one makes a reference to a series staple from Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, but spinning it on its head. Man, talk about a party pooper. This one just has many great beats to it. From the cake bomb to the Tommy gun to the friendship turning into a fatality is amazing. The final touch is how the sign acts as a fatality text as the opponent gets split in two. No one else but the Joker could pull this off, which is what makes this so special. It's one that will get the party started. Number 2. Our runner-up for the best guest character finisher comes from the protector of Delta City, RoboCop. Where the first finisher was a great reference to kills in the first movie, this one managed to do more callbacks and stand out as an awesome finisher. Finally, probably the best way to make the body go boom. If you haven't watched the film, this is a reference to the scene where Murphy saves a woman from being, well, yeah, and shoots the guy right in the Peter. This finisher adds onto it with a grenade and the first person view, which are just great to add into this finisher. The pacing is just amazing, and it's perfect in length. In the end, I guess you could say RoboCop made a blast of a finisher while getting 2 headshots in. Alright, I'm really sorry for that joke. Moving on. Number 1. After constantly debating with myself, figuring out where to place the best guest character finisher, we're finally taking a look back at the number 1 spot with Mortal Kombat 11. Throughout this whole list, we have seen nothing but references and callbacks to characters' respected media. Of all of them, none of us were expecting a reference this crazy to make it as a fatality.
The Terminator wins.
Alright, not only does this pay tribute to one of the best movies ever made, it also stands out as one of Mortal Kombat 11's best fatalities. Having the Terminator transport the opponent to Judgment Day, where the Terminators have taken over the world and hunting all of humanity, is just an amazing concept. It showcases how terrifying Terminators are and how much the future blows. Now, the only way to make it better is to have the Terminator say an Arnold line or something like that.
Put that cookie down! Now!
With all those factors and the amazing pacing, this stands out for me as the best guest character finisher of all time. And there you have my ranking for all 22 of the guest character fatalities across the NetherRealm Studios trilogy of Mortal Kombat games. Which guest character finisher was your favorite, and which one was your least favorite? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. My list isn't the right list, it's just my opinion, so let's not get into any arguments over our opinions. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more Mortal content and to join the Whack Pack today. Many of you have asked for this video, and I want to thank you all for the suggestions. Do know that I am taking your suggestions and your feedback, as it means so much to me, so thank you very much. Be sure to stay tuned in the community tab for teases for the next video. As always, thank you all very much for tuning into this video. My name is Nick, and remember to have an amazing day.